Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Cycle on Global Television. We are live in the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Anthony Momodu. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has approved the appointment of a new board and management team for the National Hajj Commission, pending confirmation by the Nigerian Senate. This was announced in a statement by the presidential spokesperson, Ajuri Ngelale. Those appointed included Jalal Arabi as chairman, Aliyu Abdulrazak, commissioner, policy, personnel and finance, and Nofi Elegushi as commissioner, operations, and Professor Abubakar Yagawa as commissioner, planning and research. Membership drawn from the geopolitical zones included Dr. Muhammad Omaru Ndaji, North Central Abba Jato Kala, Northeast Mohammed bin Uthman, Northwest Tajuddin Oladejo Abafe, Southwest Aishat Obi Ahmed, Southeast. Others were Zainab Musa, South, Professor Musa Inuwa Fodio, Jama'atu Nasrul Islam, Professor Abdul Dimizi Mahfuz Adebola, Supreme Council on Islamic Affairs. Vice President Kashim Shettima has appealed to warring stakeholders of the All Progressive Congress APC in Benue State to bury the hatchet for the development to thrive in the state. The Vice President made the appeal during his visit to Makurdi to flag off the micro, small and medium enterprises clinics. Political observers had said the crux of the crisis lies on the doorstep of the state governor, Hyacinth Alia, and his perceived godfather, the secretary to the government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, over alleged control of the party structure in the state, with their loyalists doing the exchanges on their behalf. However, Shettima stressed the need for peace to prevail in its political space. The Supreme Court has scheduled Friday, January 12, 2024 for judgment in the governorship dispute of Kano State between the APC and NNPP. Abba Yusuf, a member of the New Nigerian People's Party, was declared winner of the Kano State governorship election held on 18 March by Nigeria's Electoral Commission, INEC. However, the All Progressive Congress APC had challenged the outcome of the election, alleging electoral malpractices and asking its governorship candidate at the poll, Nasiru Gawuna, be declared winner of the election. The Kano State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal and the Court of Appeal in Abuja upheld Gawuna's case and nullified Governor Yusuf's election. The Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, Akwa Ibom Command, says it has apprehended 8 suspects for offenses ranging from abduction of minors, child labor, and illegal mining in different operations in the state. The state commandant of the NSCDC, Eluyemi Eluwade, disclosed this at the command's headquarters in Uyo on Thursday. The commandant said the suspects involved in the abduction and child labor would be handed over to the relevant agencies on the conclusion of profiling and investigation, while the illegal miner would be charged to court. Eluwade called on Akwa Ibom people and residents to shun all forms of crime, as the command would not hesitate to arrest and prosecute all criminals to keep the state safe. The spokesperson for the People's Democratic Party (PDP) in the 2023 presidential campaign organization, Daniel Bwala, visited President Bola Tinubu, describing him as his motivation that might draw him into the ruling All Progressive Congress. According to him, he has no apologies for supporting Tinubu's administration, adding that if supporting the president will cause him to join the APC, he would not mind. Speaking to State House correspondent after meeting with President Tinubu, Bwala said the purpose of his visit was to extend felicitations to the president, praising his adept governance and steadfast policies aimed at piloting the nation towards greater heights.
I came to celebrate and congratulate him, and then to also give him our commitment that as citizens of the country, this is a time for all of us to throw our weight behind and support the administration. There are difficult things in this country, hardship, poverty, insecurity, and the only way we can come together and support the achievement of this objective, I think, is for us to give our best in supporting the administration. So I came to congratulate him and then to tell him that I'm particularly excited about the recent policy decision he has taken to demonstrate that he's about the people and not just protecting his people. He took decisions against certain ministers who allegedly were, said to have committed infraction. The marked difference between him and the previous administration is that the previous administration may want to cover in order to avoid the backlash that the government is corrupt. But he is not about that. If this thing will touch on the poorest of the poor, humanitarian, that's the focus. And anybody who is caught wanting should not be covered. I told Mr. President I was thrilled by that.
In a bid to get to the bottom of how humongous cash was moved from the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation to private hands, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has extended its probe to directors and other key officials of the ministry and its agencies. The top officials were summoned by the Anti-Graft Agency to meet face-to-face with suspended Minister Betta Edo, the suspended coordinator of the National Social Intervention Program, Halima Shehu, and top bank officials whose votes were used in custodying the huge cash without reporting to authorities in keeping with financial reporting protocols. They were invited based on the fact that some of those interviewed earlier mentioned some of them as having played one role or the other, and we summoned them based on our determination to get all facts and arrive at a decision that will be fair to all the parties. The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has appointed new executives to oversee the affairs of Union, Keystone, and Polaris banks. This followed the dissolution of the board and management of the banks by the Apex Court. In its reports to President Bola Tinubu, the panel, led by Jim Obazi, recommended forfeiture of the affected banks to the federal government. In a statement, CBN's Acting Director of Corporate Communications, Hakama CD Ali, stated that Olayemi Kadaso, Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, approved the new executives to oversee the affairs of the three banks, stating that the appointment take immediate effect. The police command in Gombe State said it had rescued 3 babies and arrested 16 suspects in a case of alleged child trafficking and criminal conspiracy. ASP Mahid Abubakar, Police Public Relations Officer PPRO of the command, said this while briefing journalists on behalf of the Commissioner of Police Hayatu Usman in Gombe. According to the police spokesperson, the command received an intelligence report on one of the parents who sold her child to the alleged traffickers. Chief of Army Staff Lieutenant General Tarid Lagbaja has cautioned soldiers against the abuse of social media, warning that the Army authorities would not take it lightly with any personnel who take to social media to denigrate constituted authority. The Army boss, who gave the warning while addressing soldiers during a familiarization tour at the 14th Brigade Ohafia, Abia State, tasked soldiers with showing loyalty and respect for the core values of the Nigerian Army. Condemning the recent uncomplimentary remarks by one-way driver soldier against the governor of Lagos State, the Chief of Army Staff threatened severe sanctions against any soldier abusing the use of social media. The Assistant Inspector General of Police, AIG, Federal Criminal Investigation Department, FCID, at Lagbon, Lagos, Idowu Owohunwa, has called for crucial utilization of the forensic criminal data to carry out investigations. Owohunwa made the call while briefing officers and the men of the FCID on the current initiatives of the IG to reinstate the department as the leading investigative agency in accordance with the rule of law and professional excellence, making emphasis on the imperative use of intelligence-led tools to bolster investigations. The AIG cautioned detectives against resorting to custodial violence, calling on them to respect citizens' rights and maintain a zero-tolerance stance on corruption and professional misconduct. The Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Christian Pilgrims Commission, Reverend Yakubu Pam, has said that the ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas has necessitated the change from visits to the biblical sites in Israel and Jordan to sites in Greece and Rome. Pam made this known while addressing journalists in Abuja and emphasized that the security and welfare of the pilgrims remained the prime concern of the NCPC. The Commission also stated that new 3 million naira pilgrimage course covering return flight ticket, hotel accommodation, and 3-course meal per day, and tours of holy sites in executive luxury buses for 6 nights and 7 days was exclusive of pilgrims traveling allowances, while state and private pilgrims were expected to meet up with the payment before the last day of January 2024. Chairman, Chief Executive Officer, National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Brigadier General Mohammed Marwa, retired, says the upgrade of the forensic laboratory of the agency by the United States Bureau of International Narcotics and Law Enforcement Affairs will enhance operational standard and optimal performance of NDLEA in its renewed fight against substance abuse and illicit drug trafficking in Nigeria. Marwa, who stated this in Lagos, said the facility is anticipating the provision of state-of-the-art analytic equipment to enhance optimal performance in line with standard operational laboratory procedures and best practices, which in turn will enhance the evidence-based analytical process in forensic analysis. The agency boss, who was represented at the event by the agency's Director of Media and Advocacy, Femi Babafemi, emphasized the importance of modern forensic laboratories to the successful fight against illicit drugs in the country. You're watching News Cycle from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. We're on Star Times, channel 276. Kindly follow us on all social media platforms using @Global TV NG and other handles now showing on your screen. When News Cycle returns, despite $2.2 billion Africa's banks inflow, Naira continues to depreciate. The news continues shortly with details of these and more stories right after this break. Please stay with us. Welcome back from the break. This is Global Television bringing you live broadcasts of the news cycle. Thank you for staying with us. Former Minister of Power and Steel, Olu Agunloye, has been granted bail in the amount of 50 million naira by Justice Jude Onwubueze of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT High Court in Apo on Thursday, January 11. Agunloye is facing 7 charges related to contract fraud and government misconduct. The judge had previously ordered Agunloye's confinement at the Kuje Correctional Center pending a hearing and decision on his bail application. Adedipe also contested the court's requirement for Agunloye to have a public official as a guarantor, stressing that the trial could continue even if the defendant absconds. The prosecution counsel opposed the bail application, but Justice Onwubueze ruled in favor of granting bail to the defendants. The Supreme Court on Thursday reserved judgment on an appeal the People's Democratic Party, PDP, and its candidate, Ladi Adebutu, filed to challenge the outcome of the governorship election that held in Ogun State in March 18, 2023. The appeal is seeking to remove Governor Dakpo Abiodun, who contested and was re-elected on the platform of the All Progressive Congress, APC, from office. A 5-member panel of the Apex Court, led by Justice Iyan Okoro, adjourned to deliver judgment on the electoral dispute after all parties adopted their final brief of argument. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, had declared that Abiodun of the APC polled a total of 276,298 votes to defeat his closest rival, Adebutu of the PDP, who garnered a total of 262,383 votes. The Supreme Court on Thursday upheld the election of Governor Umo Eno of Akwa Ibom State. The Apex Court, in a unanimous decision by the 5-member panel of justices, dismissed 3 separate appeals that were lodged to challenge Eno's emergence as the winner of the gubernatorial election held in the state on March 18, 2023. The appeals the Apex Court dismissed were filed by candidates of the All Progressive Congress and Akan Nimo Odofia and Young Progressive Party's Basi Akpan and the New Nigerian People's Party NNPP John Udohidehe. Recalled that the Court of Appeal in Lagos had on November 24, 2023 also affirmed Governor Eno, who contested on the platform of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, as well as the valid winner of the gubernatorial contest in Akwa Ibom State. Following the growing insecurities along the Abuja-Kaduna Expressway and kidnapping attacks on the communities on the corridor, the Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Adeolu Egbetokun, has implemented measures to enhance safety and security in the region. The IGP emphasized the need for collaboration between the various security agencies and concerned communities in the region. He urged the public to remain vigilant, report any suspicious activities, and cooperate with security personnel as the collective effort is crucial in maintaining the security and well-being of all residents and travelers. He assured the public that these strengthened security measures are part of an ongoing commitment to ensuring a secure and peaceful environment. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has secured the conviction of one Benjamin Eka, who was arraigned before Justice Emeka Nwite of the Federal High Court, Abuja. He was sentenced to 5 years imprisonment for his involvement in $1.6 million cryptocurrency fraud. The Commission disclosed this in a statement shared on its Facebook page on Thursday. According to the statement, Eka pleaded guilty to 1-count charge. Justice Nwite convicted and sentenced him to 5 years imprisonment with an option of fine of 5 million naira. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has invited civil society organizations and non-governmental organizations interested in observing the February rerun and by-election via the online portal on or before January 17. The Commission stated that this is a notice issued by its acting director, Electoral Party Monitoring, Hawa Habib, in Abuja today. She added that the INEC was conducting a by-election and rerun election stemming from the 2023 general election as directed by various election petition appeal tribunal. And on the foreign scene, dozens of people took to the street in Cape Town on Thursday in one of the several demonstrations planned across South Africa in support of the government's genocide case against Israel. Lawyers of Pretoria are presenting their case at the United Nations Court in The Hague, where South Africa lodged an urgent appeal to force Israel to immediately suspend its military operations in Gaza. South Africa argues that Israel is breaking its commitment under the UN Genocide Convention, alleging the bombing and invasion of Gaza is intended to bring about the destruction of a substantial part of the Palestinian national, racial, and ethnic group. The Congo River has risen to its highest level in more than 60 years, causing flooding throughout the Democratic Republic of Congo and killing more than 300 people over the past month. According to authorities, poor urban planning and weak infrastructure have made some African countries vulnerable to flash floods after intense rain, which have become more frequent due to climate change. On Wednesday, the river reached 6.20 meters, about 20.34 feet above sea level, just shy of the 1,961 record of 6.26 meters, adding that the flooding had followed exceptional high rains inland. In the neighboring Congo Republic, whose capital, Brazzaville, also sits on the banks across the river, at least 17 people had died in floods across 8 departments, including the capital, with more than 60,000 households affected. Papua New Guinea's Prime Minister declared a 14-day state of emergency in the capital on Thursday after 15 people were killed in riots as crowds looted and burned shops. Violence erupted in Port Moresby on Wednesday evening after a group of soldiers, police officers, and prison guards launched protests over the unexplained deductions to their pay. Within hours, the unrest had also spread to the city of Leh, about 300 kilometers to the north of the capital. The Prime Minister said 4 department chiefs involved in the payroll problem, the heads of personnel, finance, and treasury, as well as police commissioner David Mani, had all been suspended for 14 days. The judge in Donald Trump's New York fraud trial has withdrawn permission for the former U.S. president to give a closing argument as the case concludes. Court filings showed Wednesday that Trump stands accused of fraudulently inflating the value of his properties, and New York Attorney General Letitia James is seeking $370 million from him, as well as to have him barred from conducting business in the state. Both legal teams will begin to give closing speeches Thursday. Donald Trump, the frontrunner for the 2024 Republican presidential nomination, and his 2 elder sons are accused of fraudulently inflating the value of real estate assets to receive more favorable bank loans and insurance terms. In business, despite the recent efforts by the Central Bank of Nigeria to bolster the foreign exchange market through interventions, the currency downward trend persists, prompting concern about the potential impact on the broader economy. The depreciation of Nigeria's currency is despite the federal government receiving $2.25 billion foreign exchange support from the Afreximbank Bank, as well as the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, offset of $61.64 million Nigeria owed foreign airlines. A check on the Nigerian foreign exchange market window, which showed that on the day the CBN announced it received the funds, December 29th, the Naira was purchased at 898 Naira to $1 and sold at 899 Naira to $1. The price increased on January 2nd to 913 Naira per dollar. It further went down to 960.9 Naira to 960 Naira 9 kobo by January 3rd, 2024. The Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security says it is not in charge of the distribution of the 57.8 billion naira worth of food palliatives approved for members of the National Assembly by President Bola Tinubu for onward distribution to their constituents. The Ministry Director of Information, Joel Oruche, said in a statement that this is contrary to the claim by the presidency that the president, through the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, distributed rice and other food items as palliatives to the lawmakers. And that's how we call it a wrap on the news circle. I am Anthony Momodu saying thank you for watching and have a very beautiful evening ahead.